When you first came across the term spiritual capital, what's your first reaction? A lot of people heard about spiritual capital and ask me, what's that? Is that related to religion? Is that something mystical? Or is that about spirituality or other kind of esoteric things? Sounds like interesting but a bit confusing. If you feel the same way, it's totally normal. In fact, it's completely understandable. Because spirituality, this term, is often misunderstood. But it also holds a lot of appeal. We human beings are all searching of meaning. But we never really had the right language to describe this kind of force. So that's why I name it spiritual capital. An invisible force that shapes your life directions, values, judgment, and resilience. Hi, I'm Meixin. In today's session, I will be answering these 3 key questions. First is what exactly spiritual and how is it related to religion? And second is why did I introduce the concept of the spiritual capital? The third is how does the spiritual capital relate your own life? Why do you need spiritual capital? Okay, let's start with the first question on what is spiritual. It's not about religion, but it's about the structure of meaning. If you ask the people around you, you or look at the surveys, you will find many people don't necessarily believe in any specific religion, but a lot of them still have spirituality. Something like a belief or logic or like a meaningful things or a framework that supports them. So in academia, spirituality has 3 main sources: religious traditions, psychological traditions, and social science traditions. First, religious traditions. So spiritual is not religion itself, but meaning and ultimate concern. Meaning and ultimate concern. So many people mistakenly think spiritual is a religion. But a lot of literature points out spirituality is a pursuit of meaning, value, ultimate concerns in life. In other words, spiritually always focuses on questions like this: who am I? Why am I here? What do I truly value? What kind of person do I want to become? Or what's the purpose of my life? What supports me when I face traumas, difficulties, sufferings, or pains? So religion is not one historical source of spirituality. But even today, many people, even they don't follow a specific religion, still ask us the same meaning questions. So spirituality is more about a meaning, value, asks, and purpose, rather than just religion's rituals. So I want to share a story of mine. Since I was in middle school, I always ask a question: what makes people different? Why are people so different from each other? What's the difference between different human beings? So when I was younger, their answers are very simple. Like if they are good students, if they are obedient students, if they are pretty students, polite students, or like high grades of students. Yeah, but when I entered college, I study sociology. Society give me a different answer. We call that a deep answer. So classes, your social classes influence the way of thinking. Genders affects life choices. Or family backgrounds, or like some people are more likely to succeed, some people are less likely to succeed. Or like some people are intelligent, hardworking, some people are lazy, something like that. So these explanations are important. But at that time, like early 20s, I started looking at people from different perspective. Because we're people living with me, I always observe how are their relations. Are they satisfied with their lives? Are they happy about their life situations? What's their dreams on long life goal? Why do some people have a strong life goal and why some people don't have? What's their motivation? Why do they want to do something? Why do they don't want to do something? So have you ever pieced from them? Or like do we think they do things properly? For example, a boy want to chase a girl. Some people say, you are a good fit, just go for it. Some people think, you are silly. How does that girl can stay with you? Apparently, she doesn't like you. Why do you think people think different ways? So then I realized something. A person's appearance, income, class, and family background, these external factors accurately don't have as much to do as with happiness as we often think. Even so, many people of us often say, if I were richer, if I were smart, born in a richer family, if I'm more beautiful as whoever, and if I have more money, more abilities, so look better, I will be happier. Is that true? And so what really determines a person's happiness? Whether their desire, I find that whether their desired life aligns with their environment they're in. For example, a person comes from a wealthy family and their parents expect them to be successful and always strive to be excellent, but I actually just want to live a simple and peaceful life. So they will feel life difficulties. I have many people, friends, their family are rich, but their family expects you do a bigger businesses. But some people say, I just want to be a officer. Another person comes from a family with a few expectations, but they themselves have high ambitions. So they will feel sad too, miserable too. We always call this like different values, different personalities or mindset. But later I realized it's not about personality, it's about the meaning system. I have also been a situation of mismatch. People around me, because my family and social culture, thought I should pursue academic career, like I should be a professor. Because the professor is the goal. It's worth to pursue. It's a reasonable. It's decent, high pay, stable. Yeah, it's a good reason, a perfect reason. So I also pushed myself to fit that model. But my friends around me, they always told me, like, you are very socialized. You are expressive. You enjoy organizing events. You love performance. But I denied these opportunities. I decide I do not do this because I think these jobs or these things are not decent. I don't want to admit that I'm good at these things because these things can't show my intelligence, can't show my math skills, can't show my logical minds. We only think people who get a poor degree in their academic work can do these things. So I don't think it's a decent job. It's like a lower classes do things. That's why I kept pushing myself to get a high qualification, like being a professor, until I finally accept and do things. I use my performing skills. I like talking with people. I like socializing and organizing events. So that's the first time I feel like completely peaceful in the heart. So that's the moment the tension and self-blame inside me completely vanished. This is my story about like what kind of person could live happier. You can say it's not because like if you are rich or not, if you are pretty or not, you're smart or not. Maybe smart people do wrong things, right? Second, spirituality in psychological traditions. That means the meaning of life. Your core values, like meaning-centered therapy, like self-transcendence, like purpose and value system. Psychology believes spirituality is a deep structure of meaning that helps you navigate pain. When you face trauma, confusion, and setbacks, what holds you up isn't skills or knowledge, but the understanding your own life and worlds around you. That's what spirituality is in psychological traditions. In social science traditions, spiritual capital is a missing value dimensions. We talk about social capital, human capital, psychological capital, like hope, confidence, resilience, optimism. And you will notice that they don't really address values, ethics, and sense of purpose. Some scholars suggest that we are missing values. We are missing a value system structure that explains why people persist, change, take action, and make their choices. That's spiritual capital. So, but the concept of spiritual capital in academia has always been a fragment, unstructured, too religious, or over conceptual. What I have done is turn it into a clear, actionable cross-culture framework. I want to share a second story about myself. When I moved from China to the US, that's a cross-culture conflict. I discovered something that really shocked me. Different cultures define pain completely differently. That's a common joke in cross-culture studies. Like me, I'm a Chinese counselor or Chinese therapist. In the US, a person might find hurt and misunderstood because my parents don't allow me to raise a pet until I'm 12 years old. In China, or a Chinese might deeply traumatized because my parents killed and ate my pet. So, of course, it's like a exaggerated example, but the point is, what might to be considered trauma is in one culture and might not even big deal in another. While this may sound inappropriate and lacking empathy, that's not what I mean at all. In fact, this is one of the most challenging aspects of cross-cultural psychology. What do we understand and respect the way different cultures define pain and trauma? In China, many people don't necessarily agree with Western psychological standards because we live in different culture, and I want to respect the respect is different. So that they might approach therapies without culturally psychological. So the culture clash often impacts the effectiveness and acceptance of therapy. I had my own experience in America also helped me understand this better. I worked in domestic violence shelters for a while, and because my mother language is Chinese, so I met many Chinese-speaking clients. I feel like many of Chinese-speaking survivors who need to help but couldn't fully accept the shelter services because the system and the therapy method don't quite fit the cultural factors many Chinese individuals bring, such as their views of family, authority, and survivor sense of identity. So that makes me wonder, in such a large country like China, with its specific cultural norms and backgrounds, how much does cultural difference affect psychological treatment and social services? And do other cultures around the world face similar issues? So the same word pain means completely different thing in different cultures. Different cultures should also approach it differently. For example, the method I learned in my psychology training, like CBT, might not be effective in a cross-cultural context. Because you first have to answer these few important questions. Who defines the standards of pain? What's the standards of pain? What's the standards of pain? Which cultural meaning systems are we using to understand the emotions? What's considered normal? What's considered trauma? Who's understood? So the more I research, the more I realize that we lack cross-cultural meaning framework. And that's why a problem that seems severe in the US may not be considered issue in China. A deep trauma in China might hard to express in American psychological languages. This realization makes me say, we can't really solely on one culture or value system to understand people. We need a new framework, one that can span culture, values, and life paths. So that pushed me continue developing spiritual capital. Okay, so the second question, above that, the first question. The second question is, why did I introduce spiritual capital? Because I discovered a huge gap. People's pain doesn't come from a lack of ability, but from a breakdown of their meaning system. Traditional framework can't explain this kind of pain. I work really hard, but still am lost. I make so many choices, but I don't know which one is the real me. I constantly struggling with moral dilemmas. I have intense emotions, but I don't know where they come from. The better I get, the more anxious I feel. I live cross cultures, but no language to express my identity. I seem successful on the outside, but I feel empty inside. So that's not about ability, but they are about meaning and value. So I introduced the spiritual capital. It's about the meaning, your emotion, immorality, sociality, and your self-awareness. That means your decision making and motivation. I want to share the third story of myself, my observation in domestic violence shelter, and why do. I always ask a question in domestic violence shelter: why do some people move on, but others don't? Is that because the degree of injury is about the personal willpower? Is about emotion, environment support? Is about other things, their original value system? The pattern I saw was like domestic violence is not a whole story of a person. When someone enters domestic violence shelters, we tend to label them as a victim, but the outcome of any person isn't determined by just one event, like abuse they suffered. They bring them with entire meaning system, their past family backgrounds, belief, values, and sense of morality, emotional resilience, and anything. So each person's meaning structure is different. So the way they take to recover is different. Or the level of recovery is different. So we cannot label one person with just one event, like domestic violence. Just like people cannot label me just with one, like you're an Asian woman. They don't recognize my other things. They just say, "Oh, you are an Asian woman." That's all. So without a framework that explain meaning, emotions, ethnic relations, and action, so we can't truly answer the question why some people are able to move on, why others can't. The destination is different. This experience made me realize that explaining people by class is not enough. Explaining people by personality is not enough. Explaining people by psychology is not enough. Explaining people by culture is not enough. So what we really lack is a frame that can explain the entire chain of meaning, emotions, ethics, relations, and actions. So that's the starting point of spiritual capital. Okay, so the third question: how does spiritual capital relate to you? Why do we need spiritual capital? Because our long-term emotions determine our life value system. So that's why that's why we always keep falling into the same patterns. Our value systems determine our decisions. Many people don't know when we make a decision. We think we are making decision, but actually we are just ourselves, but our values. We often say, oh, we need to have our own opinion. What's your own opinion? to be honest, many people's own opinion is just a conclusion of people's opinion around them. Like your trust structure determines whether you can take actions on your motivations. We just talk about why do some people move on, why do some people don't move on. So the trust structures defines your motivations, what to do and not to do. And the social system will press your inner contracts and your meaning systems. So the spiritual capital is not about teaching you to be stronger, but teaching you like why you feel pain, why you feel lost, why you feel confused, and why you finally woke up. And so that's the session, just laying the foundation. And next, I want to explain the 5 dimensions of spiritual capital, the structure of emotions, and the horizontal vertical trust model, and how spiritual capital for life decisions. So all of them unfolded in future lessons. If you want to learn more about this theory and lessons about spiritual capital, you can find the sections in below. Thank you for watching.